Morning guys, Real 111T here. Basically what I'm looking at here is a spare parts box. You've seen the last couple videos quite a few camp stoves that I have, and as a result this is something that I've been starting to put together. This is basically spare parts for all of those different camp stoves. It's by no means complete, there's stuff on the way. But this has turned out to be kind of a sizable expense. You know, basically, there's spare things that are likely to go wrong with those stoves. You know, an alcohol stove, you don't have any of this stuff for, although I do have a couple of the O-rings on the way for a Trangia burner. You know, maintenance isn't such an issue. And what I've definitely noticed is that there's a lot more stuff for the newer ones that you can find yourself wanting to buy and have on hand than the older ones. The older ones, there's a couple things that might go wrong with them, and you just have those and you're good. But the newer ones, you know, basically, here's Nova spares, here's multi-fuel, Primus multi-fuel spares, and Primus Omni-Fuel spares. Different, you know, things that can get lost, things that might need to be replaced. Pump leathers are a big thing. Anything with a pump, you should have more leathers. One of my 111s uses the O-rings instead of pump leathers. It's a less reliable system than the leather is, but I've got a bunch of spare nitrile rings there. Got a spare fuel cap for any of the Optimus stoves in case one gets lost or it burns up. I've got overhaul, got some safety return valve pips thanks to Gary Adams there. There's still more on the way from Ross over at Camp Stoves, Classic Camp Stoves in the UK. These, I have a hard time hanging on to these. These are the Coleman filler caps. Picked up a couple of them. No, nothing goes wrong with these. They don't wear out, but whenever I pick up an older stove, a lot of times what I find is that they have those two-piece caps, the ones with the screws in the middle. And the people will say, well, this doesn't work, right? And what it really is their two-piece cap has gone off, and they think the stove is broken, when really you just need to replace it with a one-piece cap. I, for the love of any of this stuff, have no idea why Coleman came out with those two-piece caps. I think maybe so that you could vent pressure. You wouldn't have to use like a pair of channel locks. If you get one that's locked down really tight, you could probably loosen it with a screwdriver and then take it off, but there's so much more trouble than they're worth, I think. So I'll pick up a stove or something like that, and really the only thing I need to do to fix it, to get it in working order, is to change the fuel cap. And so as a result, I have a hard time keeping those in stock, basically. So I picked up a couple more of those. It's a pump rebuild kit for Coleman, which is pretty standard. You know, Coleman is good in that pretty much across the line they're all using the same caps, and with a couple exceptions they all use this exact same pump. Now you see here they got kind of a nitrile rubber on here. I'm not crazy about that. A lot of my older stoves use leather, you know, so I could, if I replace it with that. I do have some purpose-built leathers, custom made. There's a guy in Turkey who makes pump leathers, who's pretty good. He's on the Classic Camp Stove site. So I ordered some Coleman leathers, so I'll put them in here, you know, when they get here, and you know, various other stuff on the way. But you know, this is a sizable expense. I've started to discover to put this little kit together, and but I think it's worth it. And I think that if you decide to go with one of those stoves, and you're not necessarily a collector like me, just it'll be a lot cheaper for you to have a few spare parts on hand. If you get one of the backpacker type stoves, get one of the service kits. You don't have to get a bunch of service kits. You know, they range from $20 to $30, I think, depending on what one you get, what stove you get. Definitely have it on hand. If you get one of the MSR stoves, definitely you might consider getting two of them, because you probably will end up using them. But yeah, lots of little items that can get lost or damaged or worn out. The Primus stoves have these prickers, which I'm not really crazy about, to clean out the jets. Um, Always something you got to have on hand, basically. And each stove should be riding around with a little bit of a basic kit in it too. So keep that in mind. And yeah, there's really not much more to add about this. This is just a little overview of my Fettle box, a necessary evil. Okay, and when you have the kinds of camp stoves that I have, the numbers. So if I was, going to be packing up and heading out of Dodge, I'd probably bring this with me. It's just like a little toolkit, some basic tools. Um, but to have around the house to help me out with my hobby, this is a good thing to have. Thanks for watching.